All right, guys, welcome to another segment of South Detroit Dynasty Football. Today we're here with The Bachelor and Tommy Gunn, and of course myself, JR. What are we going to talk about, Batch?
I think we're going to do a few segments today. We're going to talk some more redraft values and really just get into maybe some of our own positional rankings.
Let's go through and let's get some guys that are kind of hidden in a redraft league.
Okay.
Guys that we see value in that can move up the charts pretty quickly. And guys that can just, maybe take your team to the next level, maybe take you to a championship.
So when we're talking about this, we're talking about guys that you could take later on that could end up being in basically almost a starting role for your team by season end. Somebody that you're investing very little draft capital in that can pay huge dividends.
We're talking IDP leagues too, right? So
yeah.
We got some defensive players here that we're going to discuss.
I always love talking some IDP guys. So I'll kick it off with a guy that I see value in this year. He's not going to be on the IDP side of the ball yet. I'm not going to go into a rookie yet. I'm looking more a guy that I see as a potential breakout this year that you're getting very late. Helps that I own him in a dynasty league, but Deshaun Hamilton with the Denver Broncos. I see him as a guy who Emmanuel Sanders may not be recovered from his injury yet. He's also in his early 30s, which a lot of people see as a death age for wide receivers. His game doesn't rely on speed like a lot of other guys, so that doesn't fully apply here. But Deshaun had a little bit of an injury-riddled first campaign. Cortland Sutton's there as well, so that kind of might eat into some value. But I see Joe Flacco, who, as a Steelers fan, I've watched for many, many years, and he likes his guys that run his intermediate routes. Used to be his tight end all the time, and they will throw to a tight end. But I see Deshaun Hamilton possibly catching 80 footballs this year in a half-point PPR. That's value in itself. If he can throw a few touchdowns in there, even though Flacco historically only throws about 19, if he can get 6 of those along with 80 catches and flirts with 1,000 yards, you're getting this guy in round 13 of redraft leagues, and I think that's a guy who could give you 5th to 6th round value, but in the 13th.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, my guy is Cortland Sutton, obviously, there. But, yeah, if you're talking, like, Cortland Sutton's going to be gone by 6th, 7th round.
Yeah.
So when you're talking that deep, yeah, I could see Deshaun Hamilton being the guy. I'm a little concerned because the fact that they went out and got a tight end, Noah Fant, is above and beyond. So
yeah.
A player like Noah Fant being on the field obviously creates a threat for the guys that are catching the ball, because he's going to catch a lot of those balls.
Yep.
And like you already said, Flacco likes his tight end.
Yes, he does.
With a tight end like that, I mean,
I think the problem you're going to have there is Emmanuel Sanders. People don't think he's going to come back. I think he's going to come back, and I think he's going to click with Flacco, and Flacco's going to go to the guy with experience. I would actually still take Emmanuel Sanders out of that receiving core.
And what are we looking at for Emmanuel Sanders for position?
Cortland Sutton, you're looking at 9-12, and Emmanuel Sanders, you're looking at 8-10.
So Emmanuel Sanders is higher than all the receivers.
All the receivers. So this is where I just went with the value pick within the 3. So if I'm getting a guy who has a similar skill set 5 rounds later, I'm going to take my shot. But, it is a very murky situation in general. We don't know who's going to evolve as the guy there. I'm going to take my shot on the young guy, got some speed, got a little bit of wiggle, take my shot in the 13th, because I don't know if I want to touch either of the other two where they're going currently.
And this is just for a redraft, right, we're talking about?
Yeah, just a redraft league and half-point PPR.
So I'm in the same boat with you with my guy, because I'm choosing MVS. MVS is my guy, Jess. We've talked about this before.
Yep.
And MVS, I think, is in a good spot. But, I mean, there's a lot of young wide receivers around Aaron Rodgers. And we don't know which one's going to come on top. But MVS right now is the 58th wide receiver taken. You throw that into redraft leagues, and you're looking late, 13th?
Right here, 13-11.
Yeah. So late 13. So I'm taking him all day long. If he's there at the 13th, I'm taking him.
Interesting little note here, because I'm looking at this round 13 per fantasy football calculator, and I don't know how I overlooked this, but so we have your guy right here at 13-11. We had my guy there at 13-03, Deshaun Hamilton, sitting at 13-10. Curtis Samuel in Carolina. He's not a bad one to look at as well. Just a awful offense for pass catching predictability.
Yeah, but he's definitely a 1B. That's the whole thing, right?
That's
like,
what I'm
like. There's
looking
no
at.
set number one. I mean, you would think it was going to be DJ Moore, but at the same time, there still is no set number one, and there's not a lot of chemistry there between DJ Moore and Cam yet. There's only 1 year removed.
No
right?
loyalty there.
So, yeah, I mean, you got a 1B sitting there, and that's the way it goes.
Just thought I'd throw that in there. That name just kind of popped out as I'm looking through. Like, man, take a flyer.
I kind of like Kenny Stills in Miami, depending on who the quarterback's going to be. Fitzmagic just loves to air it out, so you never know what's going to happen with him.
I like Kenny Stills, always have, actually. He's just such a wild card because he is your boom bust, epitome of boom bust, but he could.
Because he's listed as the number one right now there.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody's got different lists. Like I got him listed like number 40-something, 50-something as wide receivers.
Yeah, I see a lot of names. I'm not
Stills
seeing
number
them.
51, ranked wide receiver.
Kenny Stills.
So,
I like him.
And continuing on the old theme, Larry Fitzgerald is going to have another good year and probably sign again because he's going to be having fun catching a lot of balls there for sure.
I could see it. Like I always love Larry Fitz. You want to talk about a guy who's always defied the odds and always found a way to make himself fit. Larry Fitzgerald. Last year, I guess you could call it a down year, but the guy's still going to catch on the low end 70 footballs. Hands are magic, and it's just a matter, can that team move the ball down the field? Because other than David Johnson, I think that's your red zone threat.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think Kyler Murray, if you want a late flyer on in a redraft league, Murray cracks QB1.
You thinking like not like a Mahomes level talent going to be there,
yet.
but you could get a very serviceable, because you could probably see 500 rushing yards from this guy as well.
Yep, which is what dominates dynasty or fantasy football is rushing quarterbacks, right?
It's
lots of extra points.
It's why we have probably 18 quarterback ones now. That's why we recommend, speaking for Jared and I'm sure Tommy's on board if he's talking about Kyler Murray, a late waiting on your quarterback. We talked about that before.
Jameis Winston.
Wait on him.
Jameis Winston.
In a redraft league, for sure, yeah.
Go get him.
I'll go for a defensive player that I'm willing to.
Stay on offense first. Do a running back. Give me a running back.
You want a late running back?
Here, I'll give you a running back.
Okay.
Rashad Penny. We talked about him before in last segment.
Yep.
Absolutely high on Rashad Penny. I think Rashad Penny takes that job over, and he's my guy that, in the 8th, 9th, 10th round, wherever he's going to be, even in the 7th round, that's an absolute steal for your last running back to just sit there and wait to blossom, and then boom, midseason he comes out and he helps you through the playoffs.
Yeah, I think he's going to be okay. He's got a hard road ahead of him though, because he's got to take Chris Carson and kick him to the curb still.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Yeah, with the problem I see with these guys is these coaches don't give a shit about fantasy.
No.
They want to win their NFL games, and I think that you're only going to have 3 or 4 true workhorse backs in the league, and I don't think Penny's going to be one of them because Penny still can't block, and Wilson's going to get killed.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're not re-signing Chris Carson right now. They got nothing on the table for him. This is his last year.
Yeah,
And Penny was a first-round draft stock, so they're going to have to put him out there and play him. That means he's got time, and if he can show, like his average rushing last year when he actually played was 5.8 yards per rush.
Yep,
so,
he had good numbers.
So end result, when you have numbers like that on a team that rushes the ball as much as they do, Wilson doesn't need protection when they're handing off the ball.
I just don't see them getting rid of, even if they take, I just don't see them going away from what they're doing. They won games, and I just don't see them.
So if we're talking him in there, and he's getting, let's say they're using this tandem, bam, 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 pound the ball. How many touches does he get in a game? How many touches is Rashad Penny? How many times is he carrying the rock?
Give me 10 touches and 5 receptions every game, and if those 10 touches are 60 yards, like his average is 5.8, it's 58 yards, and then those 5 receptions are another 6 yards per reception, that's another 30 yards, and throw a TD in there, I will take him all day long.
And does this leave enough for Carson?
But you got to understand, yeah, for sure. That gives 15 touches, easily, 3 to 5 receptions. It's almost the same. But end result, when you're taking a guy in the 8th round, if you can get that production out of a guy in the 8th round, and if Carson goes down at all, you're laughing through the playoffs.
So right around him right now, Rashad Penny, the 2 names that strike me just before him, about 10 picks before him, Kareem Hunt, and just after him, Jerick McKinnon. So right now, if I'm looking at those are the names on the board, I'm probably going to take my shot on Rashad Penny, unless I've gone running back heavy, in which case I might go with Kareem Hunt.
For the stash, yeah.
For the stash.
But,
yeah.
I mean, end of the day, you're taking the guy that's in a 2-back system right now versus the 2 guys that are in a 3-back system.
Yeah.
And you have no clue what their values are going to be. That's the biggest thing, right?
Yeah. My guy that I saw sitting on this board, I've been noticing it all through my rankings process because I rank him so low. I just don't know what he is. But when I look at where he is, it's 1205 is where he's going draft-wise, is Peyton Barber. I'm just really, is it Ronald Jones there?
No, it's Peyton Barber there.
Yeah.
In my mind, it's 100% Peyton Barber.
So I always keep on coming back to this because the guys I see going around him, Gio Bernard, no thanks. Dion Lewis, not really. I don't really care to see what's going on there. And then I see Peyton Barber, who, yeah, Arians doesn't use his running backs or whatever, but I think it's just he doesn't care who's there half the time. It's just that guy's going to carry the rock to open up my passing game.
I don't know about Arians not using his running backs. I mean, David Johnson has some of the best stats under Bruce Arians, right? And that's what we're comparing it to. I don't think Peyton Barber is David Johnson, but do I think Peyton Barber is serviceable and is able to do this? Sure. Can I see them going to get another guy? Well, Jay Ajayi's still out there. That could happen.
Yeah.
Right? But plain and simple, right now, if you told me I had to draft today, Peyton Barber is the guy that I'm drafting on that team for sure.
And Ronald Jones is going 3 rounds ahead of him. What did Ronald Jones do to justify? I got drafted in the NFL?
He ran in a
Congratulations,
He ran in a
bud.
straight line and got injured.
Yeah.
So here's a late round flyer if you want something. Take Bruce Anderson. He was unsigned. He went to the Bucks, and a lot of buzz around Bruce Anderson from what a lot of people are saying, and I think he's going to get a crack at it. I don't like Ronald Jones at all.
Yeah.
I'd prefer to have Peyton Barber if I was going to have out of those two. But I think that Bruce Anderson, he might start to get some touches late in the year, and maybe even earlier. But I think he might be the long-term solution there.
Who do you got, Tom? Is that your running back?
That's my running back. That's my late round running back pick. Bruce Anderson would be one of them.
Now, Bruce Anderson, would that be a guy that you would take in a redraft league, or is it too deep? Is he a guy that you get off of waivers or free agency?
He'd be a guy you probably would get off of waivers,
okay,
right? Or your last pick.
Okay,
that would be my advice on him. And you got to see how it goes in training camp, right? I mean,
sure.
There might be an injury ahead of him. He might crack the lineup. Maybe he won't even crack the lineup. He'll come in 30 pounds overweight. I don't know that much about the guy. I just know there's a lot of buzz.
Especially with the guy you're talking about, this is it Bruce Anderson?
Yeah.
I'm not even familiar with him. it's seeing those preseason touches, how he moves with the football, because he's a guy that you will see in preseason.
Yeah.
You got to look at how he moves on the football field. Don't really care about a yards per carry or anything in the preseason, because I don't know who he's playing against most of the time. I don't know what sort of competition that is, but it's more his movement. If you see something special, it was like when I first saw Kerryon Johnson. A lot of people were low on Kerryon Johnson, but then I saw the way he moved, and I was really sitting there like, you want to know what? This kid's got what it takes for the NFL. So it's the eye test for me. I don't care about stats in preseason. I want to see how this player moves, how he absorbs contact, especially running back position. Does he have the balance? Does he have vision? Or does he hit the incorrect hole all the time? Because that's what I was seeing with Ronald Jones. I was seeing a guy that couldn't really dissect an offensive line and went for nothing most of the time. If he does that against the B-listers on the team, A's are going to eat him up.
Yeah, for sure. They'll close the gaps even faster. They'll destroy him.
Yes. So that's my biggest thing, especially when it comes to a guy like that who's really fringe on a team.
All right, so we're still talking about redraft. This is the last little part that we're going to do about redraft. And redraft, we're going to select some guys, and we're going to call this our ride or die segment. So these are the guys that we're sticking with, and they're either going to take us to the championship or they're going to absolutely destroy our team. Tom, you want to kick us off with some ride or die guys? Give me maybe a couple different positional players. We'll just do offense for this one.
Mike Evans from Tampa.
Mike Evans from Tampa, so you're ride or die.
Absolutely. I think he's going to be he's always been good, but I just think he's going to be that much better. I think he's going to get the ball a lot. I think Bruce's offense fits well with him. I was targeting him in a couple of leagues. I don't think I was able to get him, and I don't own him in any league. So I think he's going to be just going to have another good year and continue to improve on what he's done.
This will go with one of my ride or die guys,
okay,
which is Jameis Winston. I think Jameis Winston is going to crack the top 5 for quarterbacks this year. I think Jameis Winston's finally going to have his breakout year. I think Bruce Arians is the guy that's going to help him get over the top, and I think that just plays right into what you're saying about Mike Evans and that Tampa Bay offense.
Yeah, and I think this is Winston's last crack at it. If it doesn't happen this year, then might as well cut him in dynasty leagues.
I like that. I'm not as high on Godwin as most people are. I think it's the Mike Evans show. I think he's a volume receiver, and in Bruce Arians' offense, you see volume.
Now, are you guys worried about the Mike Evans traditional slump? So he goes in peaks and valleys,
boom
right?
Year, bust year, boom year,
and
bust
last
year.
year he had a pretty good year, so you're going to ride or die with
ride
him,
or die,
Tom.
I guess. I'm going to ride or die.
Jesse, who do you got for ride or die?
I'm going with a guy who I own, who I went out and traded for this year. Drafted in the middle of the 3rd round, Devontae Freeman. He's got potential for just massive seasons, like 1,600 to 1,700 all-purpose yards, 12 to 15 touchdowns, but hasn't been healthy for 2 years. The offense seems committed to him. The team seems committed to him. They revamped the O-line. Matt Ryan is a very, very good quarterback. I just see Devontae Freeman there in the middle of the 3rd. I'm going to have to snatch him up, and he's going to make or break my season, because he's either going to go off and I've got my RB2 putting up RB1 numbers, or I get him for 2 games and I'm basically sewered unless I grabbed a great value.
So every segment that we do, I always get something where I'm probably going to cut our crowd in half and have half of them say, "You're bleeping nuts," or "You're an absolute genius." The player that I'm going to pick, that I'm going to ride or die with in the running back position, is Leonard Fournette. Half the people right now are going, boo! Half the people are going, yay! But I look at the guys around him, and at running back 14, you're looking at Derrick Henry, still unstable for me. Still don't like those numbers. At running back 15, it's Sony Michel. They brought in another guy. Who knows what Belichick's going to do? And then at 16, it's Leonard Fournette, followed by Aaron Jones, which is an unknown also. Same with Damian Williams. I would rather take Leonard Fournette at that position in between all those guys and ride or die with him.
That is a polarizing guy because I personally, he's like on my don't draft list. He always is. I just, seems like he has things going on mentally that I can't quite figure out. Talent-wise, yeah, it's enticing. You see him there, that's a guy who can put up huge numbers. But for me, I just don't know if he's put it all together yet. So me personally, I'm staying away from him, but that's why it's ride or die, right? You know, it's not a guy who's just locked and loaded. That's just too easy.
Tom, you got another guy at a different position.
Well, I was going to just comment on Fournette. As long
Sure.
as Tom Coughlin is there could be an issue.
Well, that's with any team that Tom Coughlin is.
No nonsense. Coughlin time, 5 minutes ahead. This would be a late round pick, I would imagine, in redraft, but I would go Kyler Murray at QB.
You would ride or die with Kyler Murray.
I think he is going to run enough to justify a QB1 number.
So he's Josh Allen, basically, of 2019.
Yep.
Very cool. Very cool. I don't know that I have the stomach to ride or die with that.
That's tough.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
If I'm gonna go, I'll go to another position here. I have Sammy Watkins going in the middle of the 5th round. Sammy Watkins has potential to have a monster season. Right now, it doesn't look like Tyreek Hill is going to be playing football, so this could be Pat Mahomes' number 1 option. You have a very massive discrepancy between what he's done in the past to what he's capable of doing this year. He could blow up and have just a monster season, finish in the top 10 wide receivers easily. Or he could be Sammy Watkins that he's always been, and he's going to give you 800 yards and 5 touchdowns. And that discrepancy is huge, but I'm going to take my risk on Pat Mahomes. I think that he's a good enough quarterback to get Sammy Watkins the volume that he needs and the ball in the positions where he's going to do damage. And I think you're going to see a massive season from Sammy Watkins.
Yeah, and Hill, as soon as, based on history with Kareem Hunt, because Kareem Hunt was fine until he decided to become a kicker, change positions. But anyways, Hill, I think, as soon as something comes out with Hill, whether they hear it on audio tape or there's a charge made, they're going to have to cut him.
I think so too.
Like they set a precedent with Hunt.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. They set that precedent. All right, so back to ride or die.
Yeah.
So Sammy Watkins was your ride or die. I have a couple wide receivers that are ride or die, so I'll start with one and I'll pass it over to Tom and we'll go around and I'll get my other one back in at the end. Marvin Jones is a guy, ride or die. I'm
the Lions fan?
It has nothing to do with that. Actually, I never draft Lions. You guys know this. I don't draft Lions. Tom drafts Carrion, but Marvin Jones, I think, is a better ride or die than Kenny Golladay is. And I would rather take Marvin Jones.
Why is that? Because I was thinking about Kenny Golladay too. So why is that?
So I look at him as a 1A, 1B kind of combo, those two. There's no set number one there. And Marvin Jones just has the pedigree. He's been there. That he's shown that he can do it without Golden Tate. He's shown that he can do it with Golden Tate. Doesn't make a difference. If Marvin Jones would have stayed healthy last year, he would have easily had, I believe he had 1,000 yards, but he would have had over 1,000 yards. He would have had close to 100 receptions. Like, the numbers are there for him no matter what. So that's why I would much rather ride or die with Marvin Jones than the, third-year wonder now for Kenny Golladay?
Yeah, I guess when you go into value, if he's low enough, yeah, you're going to probably get a better value out of him.
He's a tricky one for me because I feel like when I watch those Lions games, he runs one route. He's kind of like, hey, I'm going to fly down this sideline, and if the corner can hang with me, I'm going to have a bad day. If the corner can't hang with me, I'm gonna feast. So right now, Jer, I'm out on both of your ride or dies, but that's why these are polarizing figures. That's the whole segment here is can you stomach what this guy puts out versus what he could do for your team?
We'll stay on Detroit because I had Kerryon Johnson as ride or die, and that's tough. That's a really tough one because
what is he right now? Running back, 14, 15?
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
Kerryon is running back 21 right now.
21.
Yeah.
Wow.
Going back before we get into that. So Galladay is wide receiver 17. Marvin Jones is wide receiver, I believe, in the 50s. No, 32.
Yeah, that's about right. I have him.
So, I mean, think about where you're drafting Galladay. You're drafting Galladay in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
Maybe early 4th round. You're drafting Marvin Jones in the 8th round. I would much rather take the value on Jones and ride or die on him than lose the 3rd rounder on
Where you
Galladay.
grab a running back.
So I guess you'd be okay with Kerryon because Kerryon, you said, is what round?
Kerryon is ranked 21st in running back, so he's probably going to be around the 4th round. Just after Aaron Jones, Damian Williams, he's going to be probably late 4th round.
Just
what do you
after
like
Aaron
about
Jones
him?
and Damian Williams?
Aaron Jones and Damian Williams.
What do you like about Kerryon this year?
I just like Kerryon in general. But it's tough. Like, you want to ride or die. That's a tough one. My stomach would be at knots if that was like my only pick. If I had to pick, he's going to be right around 1,000 yards. I figure, plus or minus 1,000. I think that the Lions' offense will be a bit better. I think that T.J. Hawkinson coming in will be a good blocking tight end. I don't think he'll put up those great. His offensive numbers won't be that great, but I think he'll be a good blocking tight end, and I think that'll help the overall game. I think the Lions have improved their offensive line a little bit, and they've got a new offensive coordinator.
So I've got a question for you.
Sure.
So Jer has Leonard Fournette. Would you rather have Kerryon than Leonard Fournette? Because this is probably going to be our RB2. Either one of these guys, like Leonard could be your RB1 fringe, but this is your RB2. Who would you rather have?
I'm staring Tom down right now.
I think skill wise and potential, Fournette might be a better player, but he's got his weak ankles. And he's got Coughlin there. and I thought he was gonna. I'm surprised he did not get cut. I'm really shocked Fournette did not get cut.
Detroit has C.J. Anderson.
Yes.
And Theo Riddick.
Yep.
So what are you going to do?
I know. It's a tough one. I think
I'll take the guy that has nobody else in the backfield because Yeldon's gone. I'll take the guy that has nobody else in the backfield.
Jacksonville did draft somebody. They did draft a guy.
What's his name, Tom?
I'll tell you in a second.
This is going to be a deep lookup. Watch this.
No, it's Raquan Armstead.
Oh. Where did he play?
In college.
I'm glad he wasn't in high school.
Actually, I would have rather taken it if he came out and he made the NFL draft in high school.
I personally, I was just posing this question because I'm looking between the two, and like I said, Leonard Fournette's on my no draft board. I'd rather wait on Kerryon.
Jesse loves poking the bear.
I do. I just love like people's mind state on why I would take this. I'm going Kerryon because I see a better path. Like, they aren't married to C.J. Anderson like Patricia was married to LeGarrette Blount. I watched LeGarrette Blount hammering that line for 2 yards over and over, and I wanted to put my head through a wall, man. It was like, why is this guy touching a ball 15 times a game? As soon as he stopped doing that, as soon as Patricia finally realized, hey, LeGarrette Blount isn't what he used to be, or my team isn't what the Patriots were, so he's not effective, Kerryon Johnson took off. Kerryon Johnson was catching balls out of the backfield. He was running through pretty good holes made by that O-line. Give me Kerryon Johnson in that scenario.
Yeah.
You know?
So I'm looking at right now. So I'm going to go back to Marvin Jones, Kenny Galladay. Marvin Jones was on pace for 1,000 yards and 72 receptions. Kenny Galladay got 70 receptions, 1,063 yards, but that was after Golden Tate was gone, and that was after Marvin Jones was gone. So when Golden Tate was there, Kenny Galladay put up 26.4, 20.9, 17.3, 11.4, and 19.8. Then when he left, he put up 5.7, 2.2, and 8.4. Then after Marvin Jones went down, he went back up 21.8, 25.3, 14, 8, 2.5, 21.6, and 11.8. When Golden Tate left, Marvin Jones put up 30.7, 12.6, 8.5, then got injured.
Yeah.
He got injured in that game that he put up 8.5. So you can see that with Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones on the field, Marvin Jones gets the share.
Yeah.
That's why I would ride or die with him.
Yeah, and I really like that one. I really like that pick just because there's like a 5-round discrepancy between the two.
Yes.
And they could finish with very similar numbers.
The other guy.
So I was going to go back. So we were talking about Fournette and Armstead. So, just so you know, the only other guy ahead of Armstead is Alfred Blue.
Yeah.
They have Thomas Rawls and they have Benny Cunningham there.
Thomas Rawls.
And Armstead is a different. So this guy might eventually eat up some carries from Fournette. He's a different back altogether. He ran a 4.45.
No, you got to understand. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that 100%. But when I gave you the names that were around Leonard Fournette, Leonard Fournette sounds like the most stable guy that has a stranglehold on the job versus the Aaron Jones, the Damian Williams, the Derrick Henry, things like that. So I literally would ride or die with Leonard Fournette when it comes down to picking in those rounds against those guys.
Okay.
Another wide receiver that I would ride or die with, and I'm pretty sure you guys would agree with me as long as this guy can stay healthy and on the field, because Deshaun Watson is an absolute stud, just like Patrick Mahomes. And any wide receiver that you can get that you can ride or die with that is decent, average draft pick or position is worth having. Will Fuller. Will Fuller I will ride or die with. He's a make or break type of guy. He can give you 30 points. He's feast or famine, or as Jesse says, boom bust. But I'm in with this guy this year.
Fuller was tore his ACL in week 8 last year. Is that right?
Yeah, it's
around there.
I think it was before week 8.
So that's usually a full year to recover. So he's gonna, if you do get him, he's gonna start off slow if he starts it off at all.
They already said that Fuller was coming back before.
So he's an Adrian Peterson healer?
Yes. He went to see the same doctor.
They also said Adam Gase was a good coach and decision maker. It doesn't really matter.
Well, now the Jets just gave him full reign too. Yeah, that's smart.
And even if you don't like a guy, maybe don't come out publicly and say you don't like him after you pay him whatever millions of dollars you like.
Not
and you
a
want him
guy.
to produce.
Not a guy. 2 guys. Not a guy. Both guys they got. Mosley.
CJ Mosley.
And
Bell.
Bell.
I actually that's not too bad. I like Will Fuller. When he plays, I don't have the stats on hand, but when he plays, he lights up the league.
It's like he gets one touchdown every 6.4 catches.
Yeah.
45 targets, 32 receptions, 503 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And that was in a 7-game span.
Yeah, that's on if he's producing like that. But like Tom said, you're factoring in the ACL. This is a speed guy. Does it affect this? I don't know. It's a great pick because he could tear it up. You could draft him as your wide receiver 3, and he could put up wide receiver 2 numbers.
Are we talking about stats tearing it up, or is ACL again?
He might be a good trade target if you don't get him.
Yeah.
After the first 2 weeks, if you start slow. But yeah, when he's on the field last year, he was unstoppable.
Yeah.
We got any tight ends? Nobody did tight ends. Let's do tight ends real quick, and then we're out of here.
Tight end, I'm really high. I think I talked about it before on Vance McDonald. You're getting him a little bit later compared to everyone else. You can wait on him. And he is going to have a very defined role this year with Ben Roethlisberger. So if he's developed that trust and he can stay healthy, I think that's a guy who can really give you that solid tight end 1 type production. The downside is, once again, he's also an injury risk. I think every year he's a very violent player. He ends up hurting himself at some point, and that's where it could sewer your season. Tight end's a little bit easier to recover from, though, but Vance McDonald has the potential to be that guy who ends up, you draft him as tight end 10, he ends up as tight end 4 or 5. So I would take my shot on Vance McDonald.
I have the same problem with the guy that I have, very injury prone. But I'm still going to ride or die, and I feel the same way about tight ends. I mean, you can replace them.
Yeah.
Wide receiver 1s, 2s, you can't really replace. It's tough to do that. But I'm choosing Hunter Henry.
Oof.
So hasn't been healthy yet. I'm hoping this year is the year for him. But, yeah, I'm going to ride or die with Hunter Henry.
I like it.
Evan Ingram.
Evan Ingram.
You can almost hear Peyton Manning screaming as he throws the ball in fear. Quickly to the tight end. That's I think that's one of his favorite targets. And other than that, too, if you want to go to a real reach, would be Mark Andrews from Baltimore.
Let's just go back to the Evan Ingram. Was that Peyton Manning screaming or
Did I say
Eli?
Peyton? Eli Manning.
Because if Peyton Manning screaming, he's up in the box going, Eli, throw it to Evan Ingram.
He's going to be working for the Jets, isn't he?
With Adam Gase?
Yep, they talk about making him an executive of some sort.
Yeah.
Was he bringing him in for Darnold?
Yeah, I don't know.
See that.
So what do we got? Who's the other guy?
Mark Andrews from Baltimore.
Mark Andrews. But
Baltimore
What about
tight
Hayden
ends.
Hurst?
They loaded up over there.
I
man.
know one of them something's got to happen there. Yeah. They actually have two really good tight ends, unless they somehow figure out how to run a tight end system. 2 tight end system. I don't know with Lamar Jackson too.
Lamar Jackson. That's my big thing.
He's got to develop. Is he going to start to throw the ball more? They're trying to give him some targets. I don't know. It's good. That's going to be an interesting place to watch develop. Somebody could emerge there at one of the positions.
Yeah, Mark Ingram. That was easy.
Yeah.
Next segment.
Could be.